After the car accident, all I wanted was to find a ride home. But to my surprise, the driver suddenly charged towards me. I quickly dodged, but the driver slammed into a patch of grass. I rushed over and opened the car door to find his eyes glazed over. He was already dead. This scene terrified me, and I immediately called the police. But when the officer asked for my name, I froze. I couldn't remember what my name was. It wasn't until I pulled out my ID that I realized my name was Liam. Just then a crow fell from the sky. I approached and saw its death was identical to the driver's. I didn't want to think too much about it, and immediately ran towards the town. But when I arrived at the town, the restaurant was full of corpses, all dead in the same manner as before. I thought the air might be toxic, so I tore off my clothes to cover my nose and mouth. Then I followed the address on my ID and found my house. Just as I was about to close the window, I saw my neighbor still outside. I waved at him, signaling him to leave. But to my surprise, he misunderstood and walked towards me. A few steps later, his eyes went white and he collapsed to the ground. I hurriedly sealed the window gaps, but outside the crows kept calling. I walked out and got closer to them, but the moment I approached, they fell to the ground in silence. At that moment, I began to suspect that maybe something was wrong with me. That night, a strange woman showed up at my door.
Stop! You gotta get away from here!
I yelled at her to stay away, but strangely, she was already outside the door and still alive. She said she was also a passenger from the car accident and had lost her memory. I was shocked to realize that my death radius seemed to have disappeared. The next day, we drove back to the accident site. There we saw a huge black circle. I confessed to Jane that anyone who comes near me will die. She was terrified and turned to run away. Just then, a female police officer passed by. As soon as Jane was far away, the officer collapsed and died. Jane stood still, and I realized, as long as she was near me, my death radius would disappear.
What the hell just happened?
You moved. To figure out what was going on, we went to the hospital for an examination. But while there, I saw the news. The death of the police officer had spread, and I had become the prime suspect. The police quickly arrived at the hospital, and after confirming that I was physically fine, Jane and I immediately ran. Although we temporarily lost them, the residents' reports quickly betrayed us. The police surrounded our hideout. I had no choice but to surrender, but they tried to separate me from Jane. I desperately begged them not to do that, but no one listened. When we were pulled apart, the officer standing in the middle suddenly went wide-eyed and collapsed. One by one, the others around us fell as well.
No! 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 No!